Hi everyone, welcome to Sky F1 at home with me at my house. So I've picked 4 of my favorite features that Sky F1 have brought to you guys over the years. The first one is Ted and Johnny doing a bit of soapbox racing. The second one is Simon and Crofty last year going to the Max Verstappen campsite. The third one involves Martin and me at Snetterton. And the fourth one is, of course, me driving the Mercedes W10 that Lewis won the championship with last year. So my first video was probably the funniest thing I have ever seen on Sky F1, because just the thought of Johnny and Ted dressed up as lemons entering a soapbox race, that just says it all. But watching that film, I remember just watching it back again and again and cracking up on the sofa while watching it. It was absolutely hilarious. So that's my first pick.
Alexandra Palace, famous for TV, first ever broadcast. Someone called Alexandra.
Ice rink.
And an ice rink. And now here we are, the paddock. Everyone's here, everyone's excited.
And here is our lemon.
Let's get suited up. Johnny, this is a bit tight. Can you just zip me up?
You say that's tight? Look at this. This is cling film. I'm not quite sure what people are going to think about this.
Oh, that is tight, isn't it?
Because I feel like a right lemon.
Fantastic. Now, judges, welcome. May I introduce to you 3-time Grand Prix winner Johnny Herbert.
Extra points, extra points.
What is this?
It's carbon fibre. I mean, it looks like expanding foam. I'll give you that, but
it does.
Appearances can be
They do
deceptive.
this is a nice DRS.
No, this is KERS, Johnny.
Oh, it's KERS. This is a KERS.
Yeah, we've got a bit of Formula One tech in here. DRS is here. This is our DRS here.
Nice, yeah. Shouldn't that be the other way around?
Well, arguably it should, yes,
Yeah.
but I can't reach around the front. That's the DRS there. Come on then, let's go and have a look at some of our competitors.
This is bog standard.
Bog standard.
Absolutely disgusting.
This is DRS. Oh, please.
This geezer appears to be wearing exactly the same thing as me. I think that's Sebastian Vettel. Oh, it looks nicer than ours.
It does.
Actually, our suspension's better than that. That's rubbish.
These were 3 wheels. 3 wheels, not 4.
This is going to fall apart the first jump.
No, it's Usain Bolt.
Sky Sports have to beat Sky News.
Yeah, but you've got more inertia.
This problem.
All right.
It gets a bit warm in here, so you get a bit of friction.
Yes, well, here we are, the start. This is pretty steep.
Pretty steep. These are quite big.
Can't we just take the escape road?
No, I've got to brake and turn. Brake and turn, Ted. Don't
You're
do
in the
braking.
front, I'm at the back.
I don't do braking. Not my problem.
Failure to wear a seatbelt,
Oh, yeah, that's standard.
and you're parking now in a non-parking zone.
Oh.
So you've got 3 days to test that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, officers.
Yes, no problem at all. I'll see you in court.
So this is your view down here. My goodness.
Look at that lift. That's the finishing line, and
you've
then
gotta
we've got to stop in 20 metres.
Horner,
Lemon.
what do you think?
I always thought you were a bit of a lemon, but Christ, this takes it to a whole new meaning. I'm impressed with it. What is Johnny supposed to be?
I'm a dehydrated lemon.
Right, so are you joining us?
I am performing, yes, a little bit later on. I will be driving the Red Bull Racing entry, so beware.
Well, you better beware of us.
I've just seen the jumps. If you don't lose him on the course, I'll be absolutely amazed.
But on that front, we need a little bit of safety.
All right, almost ready to go.
There we go.
Ow, ow! They not got a bigger one.
He fits me without a problem.
KERS. It's a bit like ours, it doesn't work.
May I present DRS?
Oh, really?
It's a camper.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant, I love it.
Huh?
I love it.
It's the wrong way round.
I think it's great. Do you think it's an advantage to have a big fat lemon in the back?
Yes, it is. That's why I'm here.
You beat me to it.
See, it's all about mass, Christian.
Up next, number 47, Herbert's Lemon.
Rightio. You ready, Ted? Okay. It's the horn. Let's go!
Really good. It was a big jump at the end. That was a big jump at the end.
That was a lovely jump. A little bit of a slow start. We had a little final adjustment, a little bit more toe in at the rear. Made a big, big difference. And then from that point of view, we got a bit of air. Right on the last jump. We got air.
You're up.
We got air.
Johnny, I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
Seen the state of our front
I
wheel?
did notice the front wheel had gone a bit, yes.
How fast were we?
I think we were pretty good. I thought, shall I brake? And I went, nah, Ted, we enjoy this.
Yeah, I loved it. I think my back's intact, and I was hanging on so tightly. I clean broke the seat.
Well, it softened my landing. I must admit. But Ted, I have to say.
Oh, that was exhilarating. That was brilliant.
I really enjoyed that.
Well done.
Really good. Oh, look, even the lemon's hanging off, look.
I only now recall that they properly shunted. I mean, Johnny could have really hurt Ted that day. I mean, he's basically broken anyway in more ways than one. But yeah, only when I watch it back now, I realize how close they were to having a fairly monumental shunt. I mean, they had a shunt, but they could have had a much bigger one. Anyway, on to my next feature. So this is from Austria last year, where the Max Verstappen fans, we've seen them everywhere turn up in their droves, but in Austria, because it's the home race for Red Bull, the campsite was absolutely rammed. And of course, the producer said, well, we should go out there and engage and see what they're up to in the campsite. And originally, I was meant to go out there, and I was quite nervous because Crofty, what you should know about Crofty is he's a man of the people. Like, he loves to talk to people. He will stand there in the queue for an aircraft, in your local coffee shop, on the train to London. He will stand on top of the Eiffel Tower and he will be very happy to talk to anybody and everybody around you. I don't think the rest of us are antisocial, but we're just not Crofty level. So the thought of going to a campsite full of Dutch, passionate, slightly crazy, definitely drunk F1 Max fans was a little bit daunting to me. But fortunately, I got called on to something else, so Simon had to go in my place. And yeah, anyway, here you could see how that panned out.
Welcome to the Dutch campsite.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Nice to see you out of the paddock for once.
I don't get out much. You do bring me to the nicest places.
You're going to enjoy this,
yeah.
Although I don't quite know why we're here. I was just told to come to the campsite and bring you along.
Okay, well, I'll wait and see.
Yeah. Guys, just play the video. Thank you very much, Neil. Press play.
Simon and Crofty, Max here. I got a few challenges for you guys lined up in the campsite.
Oh.
So the first challenge is you have to find someone called Christian.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Still, we got enough people to help us here. You go one way, I'll go the other.
Fine.
See you in a bit. Hey! Is anybody here called Christian?
Where? That guy.
He's Christian. This man.
Who's called Christian?
What is your name?
Are you called Christian?
Sebastian? That's
Not
so
called
a
Christian
few
yet.
years ago, that is.
What's your name?
Christian.
Oh!
Second challenge is you have to find a Max Verstappen tattoo.
Max Verstappen tattoo.
I tell you, there's certain places I'm not looking.
Certain places we might have to.
Have you got a tattoo of Max Verstappen? No. I think Crofty's found someone with a Max Verstappen tattoo.
I'm looking for a Max Verstappen tattoo. Do you have one?
We've yet to find anybody with a Max Verstappen tattoo. I don't suppose there's anyone here. No,
You got a tattoo?
No.
I don't want to see that ever again. I'm glad that's behind us.
So third challenge is you have to learn the words of the first verse of the Dutch national anthem. And I want you guys to sing it as well.
We need you guys to sing the Dutch national anthem. Well done, guys.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed.
Final challenge, find a Max Verstappen cardboard cutout model.
Don't suppose you've got a cardboard cutout of Max Verstappen, have you?
What you say?
Have you got a cardboard cutout of Max Verstappen?
It's a big cup.
No, not there. Don't suppose you've got a cardboard cutout of Max Verstappen, do you?
Do you know anyone who has a cardboard cutout of Max Verstappen? Can't find a cardboard cutout anywhere. He's got us beat.
I'll admit defeat. I'm thirsty. Come on.
Yeah. Beer?
I think we all got to see, and certainly Simon got to see, a bit more than he bargained for on that shoot. I'm very glad that our editors managed to blur out certain parts much better for everyone watching at home. Anyway, my next feature is one that happened on the racetrack rather than campsite. A few years ago, when the film Rush came out, Martin Brundle and I went off to Snetterton and had the chance to drive a Niki Lauda Ferrari and a James Hunt McLaren. So this was a very, very special day, and it was cold, but luckily it was dry. And working with Martin is always an absolute pleasure, and also something that I personally find very educational. He is unquestionably the gold standard as far as drivers turned broadcasters, and I think he, working with him is always an absolute pleasure.
The Rush movie has brought Formula One from the 1970s into sharp focus for a generation of Formula One fans who never had the pleasure of watching them race. But what exactly were they like to drive? We've come to Snetterton with two iconic cars from that era to find out. The two cars in question had a rich history, being Niki Lauda's race-winning Ferrari from 1974 and the McLaren in which James Hunt won his final race in 1977. I was joined at the track by the car's owner Zach Brown and also Karun. Whilst Zach got his first ever laps in his newly rebuilt Ferrari, Karun and I grabbed the chance to take the wheel of the McLaren.
So onto the track. Great little gearbox, better than I expected. It's all right, it feels surprisingly good. Now we're beginning to get a little bit of confidence until the back end steps out like that. You have to respect those guys. The more you drive these cars, the more you respect them.
What's immediately apparent is just how much I can see. The power is really impressive for something built from the 1970s. This is what James Hunt must have felt like every time he passed that Ferrari.
After the McLaren, it was time for our long-awaited laps in the Ferrari.
What a glorious sound, glorious. Feel my ribs just leaning up against the gear shift on the side of the monocoque. Oh yeah, this is really handling nicely. Beginning to really enjoy this now. Into Brundle. Then Nelson, snap second gear. Heel and toe better, Brundle. I'm beginning to get a little bit too confident in this car. Time to be careful. I'm going to do the sensible thing. And I'm going into pits.
This is a really special, emotional moment for me. Every kid who's ever wanted to be a racing driver has dreamt of driving a Ferrari Formula One car. That's amazing. It's just amazing to be able to sit in this car.
So, Karun, which is your favourite one?
That one, I think. I once the tyres all warmed up, that was just mega, I think.
It was beautiful. I mean, it's 3 years young, although development and evolution wasn't quite as dramatic back then. But I loved that one, I have to say. I thought it was a very special experience. This is a bit sort of British meat and two veg. That is the finest Parma ham
Well, I actually thought this one, the slow corners, was you could trail brake like a modern car. And the feeling you had through the steering wheel, you don't have the filter like a modern power steering assisted car.
This V8 though, this DFV is a bit special, isn't it?
Very drivable. Those images you see of Hunt sliding the car, now having driven it, I can understand, say, okay, that actually, I can imagine doing that.
When I drove the modern cars like the Red Bull and the McLaren, that I drove recently, when they slide a little bit sideways, you think about the stopwatch. When these slide sideways, you think about hospital food. And it's completely different because it's you with a flat 12 engine strapped to your back and you're protected by 5 fuel tanks.
The vibrations of the steering is doing that all the way through. And if that was happening in a modern car, I'd be straight back in the pit saying, guys, there's something wrong here. I mean, my ears are still ringing from driving this one. It's so loud.
I mean, they were brilliant in their own way with what they had available to them.
I mean, these were the Red Bulls of the 70s.
So those cars, of course, were very unique, very special, owned by Zak Brown, who at the time had nothing to do with McLaren. But as we know now, he's, of course, running the show down there. So it's pretty cool how life unfolds when you look back and sort of retrospectively look at the people involved with helping to put those features together. So big thanks to Zak for that. I remember just sitting in that Lauda Ferrari looking around thinking, there's just fuel all around. There were 6, I think, aluminium tanks just separated to stop the fuel sloshing around. And you suddenly realize just how dangerous those cars were and that era of racing was, which is why I think so many drivers got killed in the 70s. Niki, of course, nearly lost his life at the Nürburgring in 76 in a car very similar to that. So, I think it really brought the point home to, Martin started, of course, in 84, but and it was dangerous then. But I think even for him, this was another step as far as the danger goes. My final feature is when I had the chance to drive the Mercedes W10, which won the World Championship last year. It was an amazing opportunity. When the phone rang, our boss, Scott Young, called to ask if, I think he actually said, how do you fancy having a go in Lewis's car? I thought he was joking, but as things transpired, he wasn't. And Mercedes were fantastic about it. And first have a look at the feature and then I'll tell you all about it.
The record-breaking Mercedes W10.
What a day for Mercedes!
The first car in F1 history to score a 1-2 in the opening 5 races of the season.
And for the 5th time in a row, it's a Mercedes 1-2!
7 front row lockouts in 2019.
That's what I'm talking about! Yes!
It has led more than half the total laps completed this season. Taking Mercedes to 6 consecutive Drivers' and Constructors' World Championships, a feat never achieved by a team in the history of Formula One. Earlier this month, I got the opportunity to drive this very car. But first, there was a trip to Brackley to make sure that I was comfortable in the car and also spend a bit of time in the simulator to learn the systems. And then off to Silverstone for my big day.
So I'm strapped in, the guys have put the tyres on with the blankets, the car is going to get fired up, and then away I go for an installation lap. So just a systems check, get everything a little bit warm. It's a cold day today at Silverstone, it's only 8 degrees, so it's going to take a little while to get everything up to temperature.
Radio check, loud and clear.
Right, the engine's fired up, into first gear.
Down the pit lane I go. Okay, so go to press 1. Start 1.
Okay, just doing the installation laps now. The car feels so together. We're on wets just to build up a bit of temperature. just a beautifully built car. There's no rattling, there's no strange vibrations. You feel at one, the whole car feels so at one.
So we've done the installation laps now, we've taken the wets off, we're going to put some slick tyres on it. We've changed some of the settings for this next run. So typically with the modern cars, with the hybrids, you need to charge it up on the out laps as well as the in lap before you come into the pits, and then you get that chunk of running in the middle where you can use the full deployment. So yeah, there's a lot more complexities involved with these hybrid cars compared to the V8s.
Strat 6. Switch the engine to Strat 6. This should now give me full power. The drivability is unbelievable of this engine. Mercedes has been the benchmark in terms of traction, and I can see why. I just can't believe how good this is in the high speed. Yeah, this is just immense. So hard to fold this car. End of the first run. That's just blown away.
Oh my God, that was just incredible. I mean, the car's got so much grip. In the fast corners, I can keep turning the wheel and the front end just goes. A real eye-opener into what a truly amazing car can do.
I'll tell you what, I'll be lucky to drive 6 World Championship winning cars in my career. But this is just the best race car I have ever driven. This car is just so beautifully balanced. It took nearly 1,000 people to do 7,000 bespoke drawings for this car. It took them 16 months to design it. But my God, have they designed a beast.
Box.
Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you. That was just an incredible experience. My God.
Thank you very much, everybody. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.
That was just unbelievable. I could not believe how good the car was on the brakes, into slow speed and traction. In the high speed, I expected it to be good, but it was the traction and the slow speed that was just immense. Fantastic experience.
So it was, of course, an amazing opportunity, as I said before. But I think what was really impressive for me was how seriously they took it. First of all, this wasn't just some show car or demo car that they wheeled out at Goodwood. This was an actual race chassis that Lewis drove in the final few Grand Prix of last year. So it was it was a proper car with all the latest bits and pieces on it in terms of the engine and the power unit. It's all their 2019 spec of things, which was great for me to experience. It was a chance to really see the attention to detail that entire Mercedes team goes into. I had a couple of days in the simulator. I had a chance to go around the factory and spend some time with the engineers, and the level of detail they showed me in terms of the maps for the engine braking and the maps for power delivery and the blend of the hybrid, the combustion unit and the electrical energy. They have such a lot of attention to detail on everything. For example, what brake map do the drivers use when they come into the pit box? They think of absolutely everything. And that to me was just a little insight and a little window into why that team has been so successful over the past few seasons, really since 2014. The experience of driving the car, of course, I think the feature hopefully said it all. But I would say there's probably two overriding impressions I got, and I'll probably finish on that. One was that was probably the most perfect race car I've driven. There was so little to fault in it. It was absolutely sensational. But when I take a step back and look at a bigger picture view of Formula One, I think, should that be what Formula One is? And I say probably not. I think Formula One should be the pinnacle, but it should be difficult. You know, a rookie like a George Russell or a Lando Norris, as good a driver as both George and Lando are, they shouldn't be able to get in an F1 car and just get on the pace straight away. They should be intimidated by it. They should be afraid of it. I remember driving the 2004 Williams BMW, and that scared me at every corner, at every steering input. And I think that's kind of what Formula One should be. But overall, a fantastic experience, and a big thank you to Mercedes. So hope you guys enjoyed my pick of the 4 features. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying at home. You know, catch up on some reading, stay indoors. I've certainly got a whole bunch to catch up on. There's plenty in there that I haven't yet read. And, you know, we can all look forward to getting through this together and being back on the F1 merry-go-round fairly soon, I hope.